Greetings from Westeros. We are the justified ancients of Ashai. I am Jonik Caliph.
And I am Era Tarek.
Today, we are talking about A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, Episode 2 from Season 1, entitled Hard Salt Beef.
This episode begins with Dunc still trying to gain access to the tourney. He goes to three great lords of House Florent, House Hayford, and House Tyrell, and they all can still not recall his master. He goes through great length to try to explain all of his master's deeds and characteristics to try to get them to recall, to no avail. After getting denied by these three great lords, Egg comments that is very undignified going around like this.
Was he a shit guy?
He's not a shit guy.
Not even a very good one if no one remembers him.
Right from the very beginning. He talks about the life that his master had, the wars that he fought, and how he was basically nameless and not remembered.
Yes. In the beginning, I didn't really understand the name of the episode as Hard Salt Beef. But as the episode went on, I began to realize what that really meant. And I believe it is a way of life. It's the way of life that he lived with his master. And I believe that this is what he has to offer Egg. At this point in the beginning of the episode, he is reflecting back on his master in a very elevated manner. Maybe he's a little bit, how do you want to say it? Not lying, growing the truth a little bit to try to make his master feel greater than he is. Or perhaps he really does have that adoration for him as a child would his father.
I would say it's probably more of the second, although I guess it could be both. I think that he does certainly have an adoration. He speaks, when he's referring to these times, these memories, he speaks of his master very, very fondly and just with passion. And it's like a child remembering their father. And he says, he didn't really have a father. So yes, I think he tried to make him sound as good as he possibly can, but he also had a goal in mind, right? He was trying to get these people to remember him and so that he could actually become an officially recognized knight.
Yes. You could tell you're in a memory because it has that fuzzy black outer border. And it's really interesting because as he's talking up his master, like he says something like, "Oh, there never was a better swordsman," or something like this, as Dunc is actually defeating him while they're practicing. So, he's saying he was the best swordsman, but how can his squire beat him if that really were so?
Oh, that also shows the decline of the master, right? I mean, as Dunc was growing physically and in maturity wise, his master was declining in health. And we see him that with cuts and sores, and he's slow to sing a song and can barely stay on his horse. So was it that he wasn't as good as Dunc remembers it, or was it that a lot of the stories, if you remember, that he's telling come from before Dunc met him? He talked about his squire died.
Yeah.
Who was his only son, and his squire died, and that would have been before Dunc met him.
Yeah. There's one scene that cannot be ignored when we're talking about remembering things differently, or perhaps extending the truth a little bit, exaggerating the greatness of his master. And there's a certain
I feel like that
feature.
I feel like that scene might be best left for a short. I was joking.
Okay.
Best left for a short.
Oh, that's right.
She just got a bit excited, that's all.
So as I watched the episode, I became to understand what hard soft beef was. And I believe it is the way of life he lived as he grew up. And in the very beginning of the episode, everything, as we've been speaking about, has been exaggerated in a positive manner. And at this point, Dunc is, he doesn't have many things. He doesn't have a home. He doesn't even have a tent, as we learned in the first episode. But one thing that he does have and that is apparent is a really great character. And so Dunc believes that the way that he grew up, because he keeps saying throughout the episodes that, a hedge knight is a true knight. This is indicating that there's value to his way of life. And this value is, again, leading to a man of good character. I believe this is what he wants to bring to Egg's life, as he is his young squire, to raise him to be a man of good character. And what does Dunc believe a good character is? Or what is a hard, soft life? And what does he believe a man of good character is? So do you want to explain the hard, soft life?
It showed definitely how hard things were, right? One of the things that I noticed when talking about the hard, salt life is in the memories that we see in the life that Sir Arlen of Pennytree lived, how it was hard in many ways. First, he had battles, he had scars, he had an arrow stuck in his side. That was very difficult, a difficult way to exist.
And as a hedge knight, he never stayed in one place too long. He didn't really have a home. He pretty much slept in the hedges, but periodically he did work for various lords, but never very long. So he was always moving around.
You think of an old salt as someone who's been around, who's seen a lot of things. And obviously this is a reference to the type of, but in how that relates to his character is that he has been around, he's seen a lot of things. He's been traveled probably most of the kingdom.
He's with the people.
Yes. And the people are the salt of the earth, right? So he is of the salt of the earth.
So, and what does living this type of life lead to? He believes it led to him being the man that has the character he has today. Now, he does describe his master, and I believe the characteristics that he was using was describing what he believes a man of good character to be. If you live a hard, soft life, you will want only for the simple things, always to know what is expected of you, never complain, live modestly, be peaceful in nature, be quiet and humble. You can be a veteran of many wars, but be an enemy to no one. You also need to be a benefit to those around you. And perhaps that is why to be a true knight is his dream.
I think what's interesting is when he's going through these memories unsuccessfully, afterwards, he has a conversation with Egg. And Egg's like, that didn't go well. That wasn't going well. This doesn't seem like a good way to get what you want.
This is undignified, sir.
It kind of starts to show how Egg comes from a different world. These are not characteristics. These are not things that he's used to. So I think Egg might be missing the point of this is how his character was developed. And if I had to guess, I would guess that there's some foreshadowing that Egg is going to have to learn some of these lessons as well. He's going to have to live the hard, salt life in order for him to develop his character.
Yeah. Well, I think Egg felt like that was undignified for sure. And I think being so young, he didn't really understand if his background is true, because we suspected that is Aegon Targaryen. He probably lived, a life that was very plentiful. And he also is a prince. So he always got everything he wanted. He probably was not told no a lot. And he sure as heck didn't have to beg for anything. But that develops a different type of personality. And then also when you combine that with taking it down a notch and going and seeing how normal people live, and how poor people live and how the people in the kingdom actually are, and not just the small sliver of nobility that he's used to being around, unknowingly to Dunc is going to be hugely beneficial or looked down upon.
Kind of what you're saying. I think the way you can look at it is Egg has had a life that was really soft.
Mm-hmm.
The meals he ate, very sweet. And that obviously is a contrast.
The beef he ate, very fresh.
Yes, exactly. He
Not salted.
Fresh, well cooked, well prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where you see the contrast
Mm-hmm.
in Dunc's life and his hard salt life.
That concludes our review of the first segment. Please look out for future episodes talking about other interesting scenes and aspects of the episode.
Subscribe, like, all that stuff.